It's an archetypal function, this role of storyteller. And you know, I have to be careful not to get too nostalgic about it, but there are very good examples of, like, have you read Karen Armstrong's A Short History of Myth? Oh, such a good, tiny little book, and she just illuminates this so well. There's a billion thoughts going through my head right now, but the archetypal role, the griot in West Africa, the Shanachie in Ireland, the story knifer in the Inuits. Like you say, it wasn't the individual that was important. However, same time, only certain people could be given that role. So I know in the Irish tradition, for the bards, or the filly, they were called the poets, which was the same as the storyteller, they had, I think, 12 years was the beginning training for that. So only certain types of people would be up for that. And then they had to hold a certain number of stories within them. 200 of the, if you were a junior filly, 400 if you were a senior filly. And you had to respond to what was asked of you. And in Karen Armstrong's book, she actually talks about the Sumerian tradition of Enuma Elish, which was certain times of year. It might be a wedding, it might be New Year, it might be a death, but some significant happening, and the storyteller would be called to stand. And if it was a tough time of year, they would tell a really dark story in which huge, epic battles or darknesses were overcome eventually, not easily, through a lot of sacrifice. And that, even though it was a story that was well known, that empowered the people to say, it's difficult now, it will be better again, and drawing strength from these mythical figures. And somewhere along the line we started interpreting myth as actual fact, history, and everyone's saying, oh, well, now that's just a myth, you know, and kind of throwing away the function that happened there, the storyteller fulfilling that function, which was it's catharsis, isn't it? We get together as a community and we form a collective. I've watched this happen thousands of times in my work, and it's so amazing, you know, whether it's me walking on stage or me watching someone else, but the people, they're all individuals until it starts. And when it starts, they become a collective audience. They're still all individuals, but there's a greater consciousness happening. And the storyteller begins to speak. And there's this, you know, when it's really good, there's this deep, profound listening that goes on. And maybe there's a lot of laughing, maybe there's crying, maybe people, I mean, in the Irish tradition and in some of the African traditions, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of no, 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 you know, the audience is jumping in, and it's very much a conversation within the story. You get to the end and there's a letting go. And I've had so many people come up and say, I haven't felt like that since I was 5. I forgot all of my worries. I let go of my to-do list. I felt so relaxed. Like you mentioned earlier, it's a state of wonder, which is why my job is just possibly one of the best jobs in the world, because I get to watch people, as I tell, I get to watch that state of wonder come onto their face. They look very beautiful. I mean, maybe in some cultures there's still a tradition of that person holding the stories, knowing when to tell the right story. But now we're sort of, I don't know, freelance mavericks. We're kind of dancing at the edge of things, looking for that chance. And that's the thing, is that we all feel that slight call. Like most people I know that work in storytelling feel that kind of something bigger than themselves, which is such a relief, you know, from being an individual. And answering that call, but without taking it on that I'm doing that. You're simply fulfilling a role that's needed.